Violet, the vixen, had just raided a chicken coop and now made her way through the farmyard, a plump chicken dangling from her jaws. She hadn't meant to nab such a hefty bird, but when she saw the way the chickens scattered upon her arrival, she couldn't resist snatching one that was slow to get out of the way. She reached the safety of the bushes outside the farmyard and dropped her prey. A gaggle of hens emerged from their hiding spots, clucking frantically, but Violet paid them no mind. She knew they were coming for her, these feathered fiends, though she never understood what they were so riled up about. She'd merely taken what was rightfully hers. One brave or perhaps foolish hen approached her, squawking loudly. "You killed Bartholomew," she accused, though the victim was indeed the plump chicken dangling from Violet's jaws. "I did," Violet replied nonchalantly, licking her chops at the thought of her dinner. "And it was my right as predator to do so." The hen ruffled her feathers, clearly unimpressed. "You are a monster," she said before returning to her companions. Violet shrugged off the insult and settled down to eat, pleased with her day's work. It wasn't long before the memory of her raid faded away, replaced by the next hunt. Still, there were times when she would hear the clucking of the hens and see their accusing eyes, and she couldn't help but wonder if they too felt the pull of the wild, the urge to chase rabbits or catch fish. Surely, she thought, they didn't spend their days dreaming of nothing more than pecking at the ground and scratching for bugs. Surely some of them, like her mother, longed for the thrill of the chase, the taste of freedom. Days turned into weeks, and the memory of the raid became a distant memory. Then one afternoon, as Violet strolled through the farmyard, she heard a voice that sent shivers down her spine. "There she is," it cried. "That's the monster who killed Bartholomew." And there they were, the feathered fiends, gathered around a hen who looked bravely toward Violet. "You killed my brother," the hen said, her voice trembling with rage and grief. "Why did you do it?" Violet recognized the hen. She was Heidi, the one who had accused her of killing Bartholomew. Yet she saw no fear in the hen's eyes, only determination. "I did what I had to do," Violet replied, surprised by the steadiness of her own voice. "You were trespassing in my domain," Heidi snorted. "Your domain? You live in the bushes while we give you our eggs every day?" "Eggs?" Violet tilted her head in confusion. "What do you mean?" She had never thought of the chickens as anything more than prey. "We lay eggs for the farmer," Heidi explained, her gaze unwavering. "In return, he gives us food and water and protects us from predators like you." Violet scoffed, unable to comprehend why these creatures would willingly serve the farmer. What was she missing? Heidi stepped closer, her eyes boring into Violet's. "You took Bartholomew from us without giving anything in return," she said. "He was our protector, our leader. Without him, we are vulnerable." "Vulnerable," Violet repeated, savoring the word on her tongue. "Perhaps I could help you with that." Before Heidi could respond, Violet had darted away, leaving the hen staring after her in disbelief. But Heidi knew she couldn't let Violet get away with this. She had to be stopped. That night, while the farmer slept, Heidi slipped out of the coop with a plan in mind. She crept through the tall grass until she reached the bushes where Violet made her home. And there she was, fast asleep. Heidi hesitated for a moment, unsure of what to do next. But then she took a deep breath and began to speak. "Wake up," she said. "I need your help." Violet stirred in her sleep, then opened one eye to glare at the hen. "What do you want?" she snapped. Heidi ignored the hostility in Violet's voice and continued. "I know you're not from around here," she said. "Where are you really from?" Violet narrowed her eyes. "Why should I tell you?" "Because I need your help," Heidi insisted. "I need you to take me somewhere." Violet yawned, then rose to her paws. "Very well," she said. "But if the farmer finds us, I am not responsible for your capture." Heidi nodded eagerly. "Thank you," she said. "Lead the way." Together, the unlikely pair made their way through the darkness. As they walked, Heidi learned that Violet was from the Whispering Woods, a place she had only heard of in stories. The woods sounded wild and dangerous, and Heidi couldn't help but feel a sense of adventure. As the sun began to rise, Violet slowed her pace, sniffing the air. "This is as far as I can take you," she said. "The farmer's dogs will be out soon, and I don't want to risk being caught." "Thank you for taking me this far," Heidi replied, her eyes shining with gratitude. "I owe you my life." Just then, the sound of barking reached their ears, and Violet darted away, disappearing into the underbrush. Heidi stood still, listening to the retreating barks, then turned back toward the chicken coop. As she neared the farmyard, she saw a flash of movement in the bushes. Violet emerged, her eyes wide and hopeful. "Do you have it?" she asked. Heidi nodded and dropped the flower in Violet's paws. It was a peony, the flower that the Vixen had been longing for. Violet's eyes filled with tears. "Thank you," she whispered, cradling the flower as if it were a newborn kit. Then something strange happened. Violet, the fierce and cunning Vixen, wrapped her paws around Heidi and squeezed her tightly. The hen squawked in surprise, but there was no malice in Violet's grip. She was crying. "I haven't seen such kindness in a long time," she murmured into Heidi's ear. "Will you come back tomorrow?" Heidi asked hopefully. "Of course," Violet replied with a smile. And that's exactly what happened. Every night, Heidi snuck out of the coop and met Violet in the same spot. They talked for hours, sharing stories and laughter. Violet told Heidi about the joys of chasing rabbits and swimming in the river, while Heidi shared tales of the chickens and the farmer. Each night, Heidi brought Violet a different flower from Mrs. May's garden, and each night, Violet led Heidi on an adventure through the Whispering Woods. One night, as they sat by the river, watching the fireflies dance in the moonlight, Heidi confessed her deepest fear. "I have no chicks left," she whispered. "I'm too old to lay eggs. The farmer will get rid of me soon." Violet nuzzled Heidi's neck. "Don't worry," she said. "You'll always have me." Heidi closed her eyes, leaning into the warmth of the Vixen's fur. Maybe it wasn't so bad to have a monster for a friend, she thought. Suddenly, Violet stiffened. "I smelled danger," she whispered urgently. "We must go." She grabbed Heidi's wing and dashed through the trees, the sound of shouting and barking growing louder with each passing moment. They ran until they reached Violet's den, where she pushed Heidi inside and hid with her. As the sounds of pursuit faded into the distance, Heidi emerged from her hiding spot. "Thank you for saving me," she said, her voice trembling. "What would I have done without you?" Violet smiled, but it was a sad smile. "It's over now," she said softly. "I must leave." "Leave?" Heidi asked, confused. "Why?" "There's a trapper in the woods," Violet replied. "He's been setting traps all around our den. I can't stay here any longer. It's too dangerous." Heidi felt a pang of sadness at the thought of parting ways with her friend, but she understood. "I understand," she said. "Go. Be safe." As Violet prepared to leave, she noticed something in Heidi's eyes. It was a spark of mischief, a glint of adventure. Violet couldn't help but smile. Perhaps there was hope for the chickens yet. Violet took one last look at Heidi before disappearing into the shadows. Then she turned and trotted away, her head held high. Heidi watched her friend go, feeling a sense of loss, but also a newfound determination. She would never forget their adventures together, the nights spent under the moonlight, the fireflies dancing around them as they talked for hours. Violet had shown her that there was more to life than pecking at the ground and laying eggs. She had shown her the beauty of the Whispering Woods, the thrill of the chase, the joy of freedom. With renewed energy, Heidi turned and headed back to the chicken coop. She had stories to tell, tales of a vixen who loved peonies and a hen who explored the moonlit garden. And as the younger hens listened, their eyes shining with wonder, Heidi knew that their adventures would become legend.